Why do I get a feeling no matter what we say about this movie, we're going to be wrong? If we like it, we're going to be too left. If we hate it, we're just going to be two white critics who don't get the struggle. If we think it's okay, we're trying to appease both sides.
Well.
Like, we're screwed either way.
Well, Rotten Tomatoes will be on our side.
well, just the critic side, not the audience. The audience, I think, is liking it.
Oh, is the audience score really high?
I think it's like, last I looked, it was something like 67%.
You texted me about this right after we got done watching it. We watched it a couple of days ago, at Friday, when it hit VOD. Laura and I watched it. We went outside to have a cigarette. And I got that text from you. You were just like, well, good luck with that. I just wrote back, just got done watching it. What was the pitch meeting on this movie like? Because I wrote to you and was saying, like, were they sitting there going, dude, I got it. All right, it's 12 Years a Slave meets Hostel. Perfect. Where can we go wrong? We're the same production company that made Get Out and Us, so we can put those two titles on the poster to make people think it's a Jordan Peele movie.
Right? Yeah, no, this, let me tell you, if you're looking for another extreme left version of Pure Flix, this is a great double viewing with the remake of Black Christmas.
It is. I will say, like, and here's a couple of nice things I can say about this movie.
I actually have a few nice things.
I do too. Way more than Black Christmas. But you're right in that this is a double feature with that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But this movie, it is gorgeously shot. The cinematography, I thought, was outstanding.
That opening shot is fantastic,
dude,
especially. Yeah.
Yeah. It opens with this one shot, this one take that starts out in the front lawn of this plantation where you see this girl skipping around, kids are playing, and then in this one shot goes around behind it, and it just gets darker and darker and darker till you're in the slave quarters where there's horrifically violent things going on. It was a good shot.
That got me excited for this movie because I'm like, that was good visual storytelling. It very clearly set up, you know, the divide there and so forth, and how different people viewed it and how you can, you know, look at the shot and everything else. Just like, oh my god. And then, I mean, so okay, let's. We should probably make it clear. We should probably say we thought of this movie before going into spoilers, because I feel like you kind of have to go into spoilers.
We'll spoil this movie.
Yeah, no, but we'll let you know. But I think you can review it without going into spoilers and give a general idea of what it's about. So the first 40 minutes of this is just watching this plantation during apparently the Civil War, and it's just watching black people get beaten up, which, if that's what you want to see, man, I mean, but it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, it's feeling like a little exploitive, but at the same time, I'm like, let me see where this is going, because I mean, it is horrific, and they really, really treat it super seriously, and you know, and I mean, but all the bad guys are very clearly cartoons in this also. I mean, there is no real understanding of, like, race relations or anything. It's just showing, like, the horrificness. But again, I'm like, let me see where it's going.
Yeah.
And then you cut to, and this is in the trailer, so I'm not giving anything away. You cut to one of the women in modern times, you know, going, she's this big, she's this big speaker. She goes on,
Monáe.
yeah, she goes on, not Fox News, clearly not Fox News, and, you know, it fights for, you know, her point of view against these crusty old white guys, and pretty much that whole segment is saying nothing but, like, left buzzwords, like there's no character or anything.
My god.
But and they talk about, like, how, you know, they're all being, you know, seen as the angry black woman. So this movie doesn't have that, but it does have the sassy black best friend, which is so fucking weird, because literally she just comes in just to be the sassy best friend.
Gabourey Sidibe's part of the movie.
Which, I mean, that's a great actress, and she is fucking wasted in this.
Dude.
I mean, like, complete. And then they also have the token white woman who's just there to be the token white woman.
Do you remember where she goes, I don't know what the problem is, I get a table all the time.
Yeah. And there's all these microaggressions going on, which, again, I'm kind of like, if you want to do that, okay, but it's so cartoony. You have these evil Southerners who, again, just very cartoony, opportunity are watching them, sort of saying these little lines like, "Oh, I love that lipstick. It goes with your skin tone." I'm not even kidding. Her hand is like this.
Yeah.
Like Cruella de Vil the whole time. But again, I'm like, where is this going?
I figured it out by then.
See, I didn't. I legit thought the surprise in this was good. In my opinion, I think that's why it's getting a good grade with some audiences.
Yeah.
But when it got to the twist that we won't give away yet, but when we get to what is actually going on, it did surprise me. And what I hate is I think this will be a great idea for a movie if it was satire, if it was a horror comedy, if it was like Get Out, if it was like The Hunt, if it had a sense of humor. This film has no sense of humor whatsoever. They're treating it like The Purge. Like, this can really happen, guys. This can, ooh, and there is no understanding. There is no deep dive into why anybody would think like this, apart from maybe a sentence or, again, like a buzz quote that somebody said years ago.
The writing is too dumb for it to be taken this seriously. Not that you couldn't, because like you said, the synopsis of this movie isn't bad.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be treated as seriously as this movie is, then you gotta have way better writing than this.
Yeah.
Because it's pretentious as hell. It thinks it's way smarter than it is.
It is like the remake of Black Christmas is just a huge soapbox, man. And I think you needed to show you have an understanding of this material by making it. You can still make it dark. You can still make it horror. You can make it bloody and violent, all that stuff. But like, this is such a ridiculous idea, but it's still kind of a clever idea that it's like, you gotta show it's satire. You gotta do kind of like a Django Unchained or something like that. That clearly has a sense of humor, but Christ, it dives into the mean, gritty, all the harshness too. And that film also knows that's a satire, or not even satire, homage to exploitation films. And I felt like this was an exploitation film without realizing it was an exploitation film.
You're talking about how the villains are cartoons, and so are the protagonist as well, Janelle Monáe. Because it's like you said earlier, like when she's giving a speech, it's just applause lines. And even a lot of the shots are kind of like this too. I mean, the cinematography is very good, but there are very cynical moments in this movie, particularly in the climax, that are very transparently audience moments. Very cynically put in to make a theater audience.
Yeah, woo! Yeah, take that, motherfucker! Now, with that said too, I will admit the revenge at the end of this movie, I don't think it's giving away too much. There's gonna be revenge in this movie, but was kind of satisfying. There was, this part of me, I'm like, again, if I could see loving this in a film that had a sense of humor, like a really mean sense of humor, with some of the ways that the bad guys are punished in this. I mean, there is kind of like if it was in a better movie, I would probably applaud there.
Yeah, because the way that it is, what she does is satisfying to the characters that she does it to, but it's followed up with some wildly heavy-handed imagery. I went from being like, okay, that was pretty cool, to this cheesy.
It's so, and just hammer it in like crazy, which again would be fine in a satire. And I just don't think this movie has the sense of humor at all. I mean, just any sense of humor they have is, again, either tied into, sort of like you said, an applause moment, or they're just like throwaway lines that, again, I feel like you'd hear in Pure Flicks. Like, like every line that the sassy best friend has in this, I feel like you would see in the Pure Flicks. Like Queen Latifah from that one movie we saw. Like, it just felt like lines for her. The one with the kid that falls down the
she was in that movie.
Yeah.
That's right.
It felt just as out of place.
I've seen so many since then, all with the same plot, really. They're gonna fall out of something and be fine at the end. This time they're in ice. Like, this, I figured it out fairly quick. Like, where my issues with this movie came in was how the first act and the second act kind of switch to where you're seeing the second act first and the first act second. So you spend a lot, or at least...
Which, by the way, just quick nitpick, what the fuck is the point of having 6 weeks later if you're not going to do that for the rest of the film?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when they had that? Because, like, I was watching with my wife, and she's like, wait, so did that happen here or that happened there? I'm like, well, they did have one time where they said there was a passage of time, but that's it. And that's, again, I know why they didn't do it when you see what's going on, but it's also like, why would you have that at all then if you're not going to do it for the rest of the film?
Well, I was just glad that it's one of the few movies I've seen recently that didn't open with something and then just go 6 weeks earlier.
Yeah, honestly, I was to a point where I'm just like, that did say earlier, right? It's always earlier. What do you mean later? What the fuck are you talking about?
Kind of switching things up quite a bit. Like, so I knew from the trailer, you know that it's going to have a lot of scenes that take place in the present. So when you're spending that whole first act in the slave quarters and everything, it was going on so long that I was going to, all right, I know it's going to flip over to the present day at some point. Yeah. And it was getting tedious, and then finally it does. I'm like, all right, we've switched gears here. It was around then, maybe a little before, where I was like, I'm fairly certain I know where this movie is going. Especially, like, Jena Malone is the villain in this movie. You see her in, like, at the plantation with that Southern plantation movie accent, and then doing the same thing in present day. Yeah. And like, she's sitting there in, like, a business suit, but still talking like Scarlett O'Hara.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Oh, Philly D.
Yeah, no, and again, I'm thinking, like, because I did see the trailer, I was like, like, again, without giving away, like, a reincarnation thing, or a time travel, like, I'm not sure. And when it finally reveals it, I'll admit I had a good laugh. I'm just like, that's good. Like, and then you had to put together what's going on. I'm like, all right, but then I was thinking back, I'm like, does this justify everything I saw before? I'm like, no, that's still bad filmmaking.
None of it makes sense.
That's still bad characters. And again, in a satire, it doesn't have to make sense. That's why it should have been a comedy.
If you're going to be this dumb,
Yeah, and you can still be dark. You can still be poignant. I mean, look how, everybody loved Get Out and everything.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think by not doing that, they just missed this huge opportunity, because like we were saying, it's not a bad idea.
It's not. No, it's not. But what it is, like, in regards to Get Out and Us being on the poster, this is that old joke where it's Mom, I want Get Out and Us, and then Mom goes, oh, we've got Get Out and Us at home. The home version of whatever sandwich that you want. Yeah. Like, so that's what this movie is. And when it was around where I was figuring things out, then again, you got to sit through all of this second act where I'm way ahead of where this movie is in terms of its storytelling. Like, so I'm just kind of sitting there bored that I'm waiting for it to get to where I know that it's getting to.
Well, nothing with the characters is interesting at all. Like I said, I mean, there's maybe one line where they try to dive into, why there is, racial tension and stuff like that. It was about, I mean, it's a line we've heard a million times, but at least it's something, about, like, people fearing what they don't understand. She's saying it to her kid. And again, I'm like, well, okay, maybe this is where it's going to start. They're going to start really diving into, well, why were things like that back then? Why did these horrific things happen? Yeah. And no, they're just assholes. Like, they're just cartoony, over the top monsters.
Even like this. Everything about this movie, even when you're watching it, is wildly falsely advertised. Like, I've seen, post-seeing the movie, I've seen some trailers for it in front of whatever video I'm watching.
And to their credit, how the hell do you advertise this movie? It's a tricky bit to do.
I guess, and what they did was, like, make it look like it's supernatural. Like, in the trailer, they're showing stuff that is not how something plays out in the movie.
I know what you're talking about. And yeah, I was looking for that too. And I was just like, well, wait, and maybe that's why I was thinking of all these other things.
Yeah. And so also, even when you're watching the movie though, there's stuff that makes no sense given what the reveal of this movie is. Because there's parts where it tries tricking you into thinking it's a supernatural horror film, but then when it's not, it doesn't make sense. Like when Janelle Malone is in the elevator and for no reason, like one of the twins from The Shining pops up and
that's right.
And like is one of the little girls at the plantation at the beginning of it. She walks in the elevator with Janelle Monáe and does the horror movie like shh thing and like skips backwards and does creepy shit. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, there's so many things in this movie where you just sit there and you go, why? Why is this happening like this? Why does that guy have that?
How did they get this set up? How did you manage to get any of this? Why would you do that? And don't you love, too, that this film has to remind itself it's supposed to be a horror film by having all the fake outs when somebody's standing there, the music builds, and someone's hand taps them on the shoulder. It's just, it's just me, which they do that like 9 times in here because they have no actual scares in it.
Yeah. So, like, to get to... I guess I can get to the reveal here. So when Laura...
do we say spoilers yet or no?
Spoilers.
Okay. So
from this point on, like, I don't if you don't want to see the spoilers, to sum it up, I don't recommend this movie.
I don't like it either.
It was dumb as hell.
I think audiences are liking it because they were surprised by the twist, and like in my opinion, I think it is a good twist.
Yeah.
But it's taken way too seriously and does not add up to anything that came prior or in many respects after. It still has bad characters, bad writing, but it looks nice.
The cinematography is very good. The musical score is very good.
Yes.
So...
All right, so spoilers from here on out.
When it got, like, halfway through, and Laura goes, like, so do you think it's, like, time travel or supernatural? I go, no, it's... And then I told her, I go, I guarantee that this is what it is. And then I kind of laughed, and I go... Granted, I would prefer it if what this movie was for somehow slave traders figured out time travel. And we're like, maybe it's just easier to go into the future to abduct people than sailing on this boat for several months. Like, it doesn't do that. That would have been amazing. But that's not what it does. Like, so what it is that it is this, it's like Hustle, where these... rich people, politicians, college kids, whatever. They pay a lot of money to go to slave land, like this park where they've abducted black people to recreate this plantation, the cotton fields, and everything, and force them into, again, slave labor, rape, beatings, all this, and, like, senators are paying to go here, these, like, college rich kids and everything.
They make it look like it's during the Civil War, so they're all wearing, like, Confederate outfits, like the Confederate flag, and they'll speak in the Southern accent, we will win this war, and stuff, and all the black people have to stand there as servants, just like, well, because they have guns on them the whole time, so it's like, well, if we try anything, we're gonna get shot, so might as well go on this until we think of a plan.
When there is that escape in this, it's portrayed so easy.
Yeah.
They get out of this so easy to where I'm like, how has this not happened before?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, how is it? I understand, like, there's guns and there's all this stuff, but the entire country's not like this.
Yeah.
It's just this park, and the escape was portrayed so simple to where I'm going, whoever is running this park is an idiot. Like, with the worst security system that they have here. I was saying,
like, well, no, there's gotta be, like, security cams, there's gotta be, like, people with real guns waiting, like, this is because this must cost a fortune, because there's, like... hundreds, if not thousands of people at this goddamn place. I'm like, okay, this has got to be like mad lockdown, like, just super security. And no, this one woman like finds a cell phone that someone brought in, calls for help or whatever. And I don't even think like help comes until after she escapes. So it's like you didn't even really need the cell phone. And she just finds a way to trick people into like, going into the witch's oven pretty much. Which again, very sad.
That was pretty sad.
I'm not gonna. But and she keeps tricking people to go in, and when she's lighting it, it is like, okay, that feels pretty good. And then when she gets the lady on the horse with the rope and stuff like that, I'm like, that's pretty satisfying. Like
The one guy on the horse looked like he had like a modern
like or something. So I thought there was gonna be more, but no, that's it. A dude on a horse.
No, then Jenna Malone comes in still with her Scarlett O'Hara dress and an old six-shooter.
Yeah,
like, shooting. First of all, why? I understand the writer's reasoning for having Jenna Malone being this character who's been kidnapped, because they're like, oh, they're gonna kidnap this outspoken black woman who's on TV. But why would you kidnap this person?
She's a big personality.
Yes. It's like doing this same situation and you kidnap Oprah. Like, that's gonna make news.
Yeah. On top of that, I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, if like they got her, how many more people there are like really well known and are speakers or entertainers or something? Yeah, and it's like they would find this place in like a millisecond.
And in the trailer, it's showing things like that airplane appearing and disappearing,
which is not in the
shit
film.
Doesn't happen in this movie. They're trying to trick you so hard.
Yeah.
Not only trying to trick. I saw one trailer for this earlier that had that in there, but then also is showing all these critic quotes and everything, like not just one or two, doing the thing that a movie does when it actually does have really good reviews, where it's showing like names like all over the screen, like more than one. I'm like, no. Some of these are probably like, if you look at the context, would maybe be negative.
Yeah, exactly. Like visually stunning, but the movie sucks. Visually stunning, that's all we need. Boom.
Great cinematography, fantastic musical score.
The twist really got me. Again, it's like, but it's still a terrible movie.
I know. Yeah. So I'm like, well, maybe this is the 20-some% of critics that like this movie, but I couldn't. It's so dumb that it's just cynically one of those movies that's trying to ride off of how good another movie is. In this case, being Get Out. It is a movie made by someone who it feels like they are trying to be like Jordan Peele or that movie. Or Us. I mean, that's all over the poster. And the marketing campaign was good when I first got a trailer for this movie.
Oh yeah, no, I wanted to see it. I was very excited to see it.
It looked intriguing, but it's a movie that it thinks it's way smarter than what it is.
It thinks it's groundbreaking. It's gonna get people talking and shocked and saying, you shouldn't see it because it's just so horrific. No, not because it's horrific, because it's dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't realize it's Hostel Part 3.
Yeah.
Like, that it makes sense why this is now on video on demand.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it feels like I should be watching this at home.
But the funny thing, again, I'm thinking to myself, I can definitely see a crowd kind of like the people that, I don't want to say the same people like The Purge, because I don't think it's that, but I think like, how people, even though I didn't like The Purge, they would talk about the idea of like, oh man, what if there was a day, get you thinking and stuff like that. This movie has a, first third that's, does not shy away from the violence that was done, to black people, and it is horrific. It is like watching The Passion. It is just so difficult to watch. But again, I'm saying, I'm understanding how terrible it is. But I mean, I feel like a lot of us are taught how terrible it was. But what am I supposed to discover from this? What am I supposed to read into with this? So again, I was giving it a chance. I was like, well, because there's no understanding of why this is happening. So I'm watching, but I feel like people watch and be like, yeah, like that was a thing, like that definitely happened, and man, it really captured the horrificness. And my wife's just getting back. Dropping off
We're now
the
being joined by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Wow! Oh my God, we should have liked this film, man.
I have an idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, God is going to give his thoughts.
You mentioned Pure Flake so much in a movie. It's like
he just shows up.
He will show up.
So my wife's just dropping off the plate. And let's just keep going. If it goes dark again, we'll just we'll be going to hell, I guess.
It's like it's recreating the movie theater experience. This is when we're still sitting through the credits and then the lights come up. Ushers are sitting up there like, are they gonna leave so we can clean up their fucking mess? What are you guys doing in there?
Like,
we're just smoking a blunt.
You can close it. Yeah. She's like, I don't know what to do. Do I close it? Do I leave it open? I don't know. And there it goes. Yeah.
My lord.
Thank you, God. That's pretty funny. And now you can see why you would do it this way, because we get massive backlighting.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's, like, hardest to light these in the daylight. At the movie theater, we get a park with, like over by the trees or the shadowing in the background. Yeah, it's like, this is, like, the one show where lighting makes it way worse. Yeah. But no,
Oh, but real quick. So what I was saying is I can see people... kind of like how, I guess, I mean, some people legit like The Passion. Whatever you like, you like.
Yeah.
You know, but I can see, like, getting... Like, I feel like some people, they enjoy it because they got an emotional reaction, which is like, it's hard not to watching that. I mean, I'm watching, like, I'm not liking this movie, but it's like, oh man, this is, like, so difficult to watch. I mean, you know, and yeah, history and everything, like, this is difficult to see, and I'm sure that's the reaction they want, and that's the reaction they're getting. But then, you know, you start watching, it's modern day, I'm sure people are confused, like, what's going on? You know, like I said, I didn't put together what's going on. And then when you get to the surprise, it is, I'm sure for me, a lot of other people, such a good surprise where they're like, wow, well, that was a journey. That was a trip. That took me on all this stuff, and it got an emotional reaction out of me. So I feel like that's maybe what people, you know, who say are liking this movie, they're liking because they did get a reaction. But I mean, in my opinion, structurally, there's just a million things that don't make sense, and I just don't care about the people. I don't think they're given actual dialogue. I think they're just quotes, you know, like you said, applause moments. Oh, yeah. And that's the reason I don't get into this movie.
Exactly, because it's like, if there's one type of movie where you should care about the characters, it's a movie like this. And when you don't, wow, you've messed up really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when the movie starts out and you're going, okay, why is this happening? And then when the reveal happens, you go, why is this happening? Like, it's like just two levels of why in this film.
Don't show up, and they both have bad answers.
I know. Yeah, and so it's so dumb where I was like, well, I mean, there was a few times I was bored in this when it was getting to the end of the first and second acts where I was like, all right, I'm way ahead of what's going on. I need a change of something,
yeah.
I'm way ahead of what's going on, so if, like, you could catch up, movie. But other than that, it's not like I was totally bored. It's because it's too dumb to be completely boring. And again, like Laura and I talking about, like, where it could possibly go that would make it even better. Again, through time travel. Yeah. It'd be ridiculous.
I thought it was going to be a reincarnation thing. That's what I thought it was going to be.
I don't know if I was before I figured it out, which again was like maybe a half hour or so into this movie, I don't know if I really had... I was kind of going along with it and not really trying to guess too much of what was going on. So I didn't know if it was going to be a time travel thing, like in the first 30 minutes or so. But when the way that some of them were acting, like on the field, some things that they were saying, I was like, I have a feeling this is what it's going to be. And then when certain characters would be re-showing up in the present, acting with like the same kind of like Southern Belle accent and everything, like, yeah, okay, I believe it. And then I was like, I'm 90% sure I know what's going on here. And then when those two soldiers were acting like college kids, I was like, yeah, okay, here's what it is. It's gonna be like Hostel.
Well, and I think too, you know, there's one scene where this one dude, I think it's one of the college kids, is like, you know, hey, why don't you hit on her? It's like, you know, no, man. Like, they're making it look like he might be the good one. Yeah. And when they get him alone, she's like, you know, you're not one of them. You're not one of these monsters. He's like, did you speak to me? Did you? I mean, just does a complete flip. And I mean, again, when you think it's real, it's like, well, there went any shot, again, of understanding why this thought process exists at all. But then when you see what it is, it's like, well, okay, I guess that makes a little bit more sense. Like, it's a little sicker. Like, maybe that's how he gets his kicks, like thinking he's, you know, wants to be good and then becoming bad. Yeah. Or like, there's a whole thing you could read into there. But again, the film's not smart enough to read into that or explore that. Or again, you know, sort of poke fun of that mindset, you know, if this was satirical.
I've seen it done better. I don't even love Hostel, but Hostel makes way more sense than this. And they're doing similar things. This organization is very similar to the one in Hostel. They even have these like little logos and everything that they use. Their clientele is pretty similar. But for all the faults that Hostel had, it did a good job of making it make sense that these people have done this and have gotten away with it for a long time. Like, I never doubted that, really. And then when the escape and everything and the climax is happening in that, again, like, it was making sense structurally and plot-wise to me. This doesn't have that. Like, Hustle had unlikable characters, but it was a universe that at least made sense. This has unlikable characters in
they're supposed to be likable. Again,
Yeah.
I kind of like Hostel okay. I don't think it's
that's a good point. They're not supposed to be likable.
They're not supposed to be likable,
Yeah.
except maybe the one dude who you do, kind of follow him and stuff. But, I think in this one, they're supposed to be likable, they're not.
That is a distinction.
They are total archetypes, which is so ironic because the whole film is talking about, raging against archetypes, yet they're completely doing, again, the sassy best friend, the token white woman, the strong black woman that has nothing but quotes, nothing, I mean, just a smorgasbord of evil white Southerners. I mean, just like...
Jenna Malone was having a good time in this movie.
No, she was.
I can tell.
But it's like, I want to, again, kind of like with Django or something like that, it's like, I want to enjoy these performances and these people that are really, you can be a scenery chewer, that's fine, but it has to be in a film where that can work. Something in Django Unchained, that can work.
Yeah.
And there are great performances in there too, but there's scene chewing as well. Wherein this is taken so seriously, like ridiculously seriously for such a stupid idea that could not happen now. I mean, like you said, with all the, plot holes in there of how this place could exist, that it just it doesn't add up. And if anything, it becomes even more insulting because then they're like, oh, well, the people that are legit going over the top in this, well, I can't enjoy that because it's supposed to be serious, all that stuff.
Well, it's one of those movies that has a twist where that was kind of what they started with, or it was... A movie like Get Out does a way better job of, from the very beginning of it, planting little seeds, planting like little hints about where it's going. Not that this one doesn't have some hints, but it's one of those twists where too many things happen early on that make no sense. So it's like, well, it's a twist for the sake of there being an explanation. Like, it really is kind of like, I mean, we've mentioned Jordan Peele and Get Out quite a bit, but it also feels like it's someone trying to be like Shyamalan, but not good Shyamalan.
Yeah, exactly. Right down to taking it way too seriously. But even Shyamalan would have like some jokes. It's like they're always super awkward and they usually didn't work. But it's like he would try. You would try to put a few in. Like I said, the quotes in this the jokes in this are literally just something goofy happens and they name like a famous philosopher who said something like, that was profound years ago, and like, oh!
Oh yeah, when The Village is the way smarter movie by comparison.
Yeah.
Then I'm glad I just watched this at home. But I mean, to sum it up, I really don't recommend like at all. I won't go so far as to say I hated the movie, but I sat there going like, man, I feel like just this movie's just insulting my intelligence.
Yeah,
like,
I can't say I hate how seriously it took itself, but the idea is such a twisted, fun idea that I could see working in a really dark, twisted, mean-spirited satire horror that I can't hate it either, because I'm like, oh, no, it's not. I see the potential here and something that could be kind of like, provocative and getting people talking and stuff like that. If it just had any understanding of character, or race, or the racial divide, or comedy, or anything like that. Even horror, like I said, I mean, most of the scares in this are just people, tapping the shoulder with the music rising up. Oh, it's just me. I mean, they do that a lot in this. Because there's not a lot of horror elements aside from just seeing people get beaten up and killed, which is like, all right, I mean, scary, I guess. I mean, history is scary, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that as like a... not like a traditional horror element or whatever, and it doesn't seem like it's smart enough to take it to like a new level, you know?
No, because this would be one of the lesser episodes of Black Mirror.
Yeah,
the one where it was like, where you're just kind of like waiting out the clock a little bit, like well, I got kind of obligated to watch the rest of it. Let me just wait out. Maybe the next one will be better.
That's a great way, but I would love to see Black Mirror get this idea and then say, okay, let's rewrite this. Let's put this here.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of this character. Let's make this character more interesting. Let's have more of a discussion here instead of just a quote or something. Like, you know, instead of 40 minutes of just seeing these people get beaten up, let's have more of a conversation about them, maybe talking a little bit about history, or maybe one of, I guess not the news talks, we never learn anything from those, but I mean, like, maybe a conversation like after, in fact, wouldn't it be great if you see them do the news talk and they're yelling at each other, and then after the broadcast is over, like, they really talk? Like, how funny would that be?
Oh, no, not in this. It was like total straw man shit.
Yeah.
That the crusty old dude is sitting there saying things just to set up what she's gonna say.
Exactly, yeah.
It was like pure flick shit. Like,
it really was. Yeah.
It's just more well made than something like that, and it's more well made than Black Christmas.
Yeah.
Black Christmas was more hilarious, unintentionally. So.
I will say this: Pure Flakes rarely has ideas. This has an idea.
Yeah.
And it's a, like I said, it'd be very difficult to do. And do it like well, and you know, combining horror and comedy and stuff. Yeah. But I think it could be done, and I think it could be provocative. I think it could be interesting.
That's what makes it more disappointing, because it is a wasted opportunity of a movie. And maybe they kind of knew that, which is why the trailer of this is a goddamn lie. Yeah. Right down to critics are loving this. Like, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, especially if you know the twist. I mean, I do kind of feel like we said the best part of the movie. On top of, again, it does look very nice, especially the shots of night and the moon and stuff like that. And that opening shot, I mean, is just that's the best scene in the movie, honestly. But yeah, it's I don't really recommend it.
When I texted you, I was like, I have a feeling, like, because I looked at the channel to go, like, did you review this? And I saw you didn't. I go, I should text him, because I have a feeling like we both have a lot to talk about with this movie.
Yeah, no, we have opinions, man. We have opinions on this movie.
It sucked. It's not like, you know, it's not this movie sucks. But I mean, it's not. If I were to give it a grade, it'd be like a D+. It's not like the...
Yeah, that'd be like right.
Yeah, it's not the F that like My Brother's Crossing was, or the D- for Tulsa or something like that. But yeah, it's a hard D+.
I think you nailed it when you said it's just kind of disappointing, because it's like, oh, you could see the potential there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, thanks for watching, everyone. That was fun. It's been a while since movie theaters have been closed.
It's rare we get a cameo from God. So that was
I know.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that used to happen in Springfield all the time. It's a much more religious town. Thanks for watching.
Take care.